welcome back, everyone, to the Grayhorn Valley, the land that exists in the shadow of the Grendleroot. The valley has a lot of problems at the moment. Rampant banditry, wildlife driven by some unexplainable bloodlust. But finally, the party is here. And last session, you began to conduct some investigations into these matters. You struck out into the outlying wilderness in search of a missing scout. And you found him within the warlord's tomb. He had unfortunately perished. But in locating him, you uncovered something that will probably be of considerable importance going forwards. A bizarre onyx black shard of a Grendleroot that was clutched in the hands of the interred, forgotten warlord. And as Bridget and Capiera each took their turns studying it, each of them felt that strange voice, that alien intelligence from within beckoning them. And they resisted the call for now. You located the bandits' headquarters. It seems that they are holed up in the old Imperial Watchtower, protected by a mass of ferocious razor vine, and during your adventure in the tomb, you uncovered, coincidentally, how the bandits are able to pass through the razor vine without being torn asunder. You could pee all over your equipment and you'd get through just fine, but you have a druid with you, and I'm sure she'll be wanting to find a much less embarrassing means of protecting the party from what's to come. But that's all for when you get back to town. For when we left off last session, you'd just emerged from the tomb, the sun had set, and rather than making the journey back to town in the darkness, you decided to make a camp in the mouth of the old tomb and wait for the sun to rise. It was Llewellyn and Capiera who volunteered to keep watch, I believe. And Capiera, being the elf of the group, decided to take the first watch, keeping a close eye on the tree line and on the shadowed hills while the rest of the party slept. Capiera, go ahead and roll me a perception check, please, and we'll see how your watch goes.
Can do, my friend. Alright. Not terrible perceptions. I got +1 to them, so it should be alright. Or not, that's a 6.
A 6. Well, you know, you are a bard, a dancer, but, which means that, you know, these nights out in the wilderness, sleeping under the stars, are not exactly something you're used to. And while you keep your weapons clutched close to your body in anticipation, staring into the darkness, you're unable to determine whether or not the party is safe tonight. You keep hearing rustling coming from beyond the trees, the snap of twigs as things move over them, crushing them underfoot. The sounds of woodland animals, the sounds of nocturnal beasties scurrying looking for food, or the sound of someone preparing an ambush. You're not sure. Everything's so pitch black, so far from civilization. You're struck by how dark everything is out here, and the stars above don't provide much light at all. And so for most of your watch, you're just left there, huddled in the shadow of the campfire, clutching your weapons, bracing yourself for something to come charging out of the tree line before the party. But it never does. Unless Unless you'd like to get up and investigate some of those sounds, some of those rustling noises, some of those strange chitters and growls in the wilderness.
Granted, Capiera is a curious lady, but she's also heard all these stories about these animals that are going about tearing people to shreds as of late. So I think she'll do the smart thing and sit by the campfire, hoping that the flickering flames of the campfire will keep the animals at bay.
And usually it would. Woodland animals would not approach a group of camping adventurers usually, but well, this is the Grayhorn Valley. This is a place that lives in the shadow of the Grendleroot, and things aren't quite how they should be here. But don't worry, Capiera, your watch passes pretty much uneventfully, and it's with massive relief at the end of it that you shake Llewellyn awake and retire to your meditations.
Llewellyn is, of course, caught with a whole lot of Gapper's equipment making all these sound effects, like rustling and the sounds of wolves. And anyway, sorry, go on. He wakes up. Hello. How was it?
Fine, if not a little bit, not exactly my speed. I'm used to a caravan. It's fine though. You could take a better watch, I'm sure. She's obviously anxious to get to her trance and get a little bit of a break from being in the wilderness.
Do you want to have another go at that? That's not a bold-faced lie. Elf
Well,
to it's human in the middle of the night when it's pitch black. Yes, I'm sure it will go so much better with me being the eyes and ears of the group. But you go ahead and trance. That I'm sure that'll work out just fine for all of us.
Well, I'm not exactly used to all these insects flying about and such. I'm used to my cities and my people and my shows and the lights and all that. Not so much crickets getting in my sleeping bag and waking me up and all that.
So you've been on guard, but you've been having crickets waking you up.
Well, no, you can't. I don't talk literally, Llewellyn.
Okay. Useful thing to know. Seriously,
Because that would mean you were a particularly poor sentry, I gotta say.
Seriously, Cap, I am just messing with you because I'm just a horrible person. You don't worry, I'm just gonna put my armor on and I will let nothing get through to you, I promise.
Well, some solace in that. It's fine armor, by the way. Interesting branding.
Yeah, in fact, in the flickering light of the campfire, you can't help but noticing, Capiera and Llewellyn, that the tabard that Llewellyn wears over his armor, which in all the time you've known Llewellyn, which hasn't been that long, that tabard has been very shabby. The colours have been drained, the coat of arms upon it faded, only barely recognisable, and yet tonight, perhaps it's the light of the campfire, but it seems cleaner somehow.
Nice trick. Is this just sort of like a variation of short one leg of the armor? And see whether I notice.
And you notice it too, Llewellyn. There's something. You're sure it's not just the firelight. It does not look the same as it did.
Yes, I know. I'm accusing Capiera of having cleaned it as a hazing, sort of a reverse haze. Cap, have you been sort of doing laundry in the middle of the night to make people unsettled and creeped out?
By this point, Capiera has already retired to her sleeping role, and she's kneeling down, hands clasped together, already silent, the question unanswered. And so Llewellyn takes up his vigil
Put on my armor.
puts on his armor, takes his vigil beside the campfire, weapon ready to be drawn at a moment's notice, and Llewellyn's watch begins. But while Capiera sinks into her trance, I'd like to go to Bridget for a moment. Bridget, you're having strange dreams that are unlike what you normally experience. I don't know what Bridget normally dreams about, but tonight your dreams cause you to toss and turn. They're dreams of being hunted, of being preyed upon, of being toyed with by a malevolent force that you cannot understand, that you cannot even comprehend, that as you find yourself shaken awake from the torment of it all, an evil that in your mind cannot even take a definite form. And Bridget, I'd like you to go ahead and make a charisma save for me, please.
That is a 9.
A 9. You sit bolt upright and just covers fall off you. You could swear someone's whispered your name in your ear, that someone has leaned over you while you slept, whispered, Bridget. And yet, as you sit up now and look around, beside you, Leilani is rolled up in her bedclothes, snoring loudly, and you can see
She probably wakes up a little.
Stirs a little bit, sensing Bridget's movement, but perhaps doesn't wake fully. You see the silhouette of Llewellyn outlined against the campfire, his back turned to you, carefully watching the tree line, and behind him, Bridget, you see Capiera, her legs crossed, her hands folded, deep in trance, and at her feet is her rucksack. And as your eyes pass over the rucksack, you hear it again. Bridget. And you know instantly what is talking to you. That onyx black Grendel shard wrapped in a handkerchief, stowed in Capiera's rucksack, is calling to you, beckoning to you. What do you do?
Bridget is going to get up and move over to the rucksack, and just looking down at it, just say quietly, "What is it you want, strange thing?"
You alright there, Bridget?
Bridget is too focused on the rucksack
to even pay heed. It looks silly. It's silly. You're talking to a bag, and yet standing next to it, kneeling down in front of it, you can feel this overwhelming power emanating from within the folds of the fabric, like a beating heart. That exact same thing you felt when you stared at it in the warlord's tomb. Thump, 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 thump. And the voice whispers a single command in your ear, in your mind itself. Share in what I have to show you. Take me, hold me, and you will be great.
I know enough of curses to recognize evil when I see it.
It doesn't respond. You try to pull away, but it takes a moment. Your body does not seem to want to move. And then you feel your right arm begin to reach out towards the rucksack. You You screw your eyes together, grit your teeth, and it takes every ounce of willpower within you to stop yourself just as the tips of your fingers are about to pull the lid of the rucksack open and reach inside. Suddenly, you realize where you are, what's happening, and what you were about to do. The heartbeat thumps, thump, 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 and then it stops mercifully, finally, leaving you alone with your thoughts. What do you do now, Bridget? Try to shake it off, go back to bed, or join Llewellyn on his watch?
Bridget is going to join the watch and just mutter under her breath, saying, "Damn thing better only tempt me."
Bridget, how many goblins does it take to start a campfire?
Just one. Well, and some fuel if you can get them to keep still long enough to light him up.
Just one, but it takes a whole horde to put out the result. Okay, yeah, you obviously heard this before. Are you alright? Can I brew you up some tea?
I will be fine. Just strange damn things are not uncommon in my line of work.
And so the two of you... Go ahead.
If you don't want to drink some tea, I can make it mint tea, and you can at least just have the pleasure of the smell of it as you go back to sleep.
Well, it is not meat, so I believe I will pass, thank you.
So the two of you dig in for 4 hours of silence. Silence save for the wind through the leaves and the branches, the rustling, the occasional snap of a twig. Seems to be a quiet night, a calm night, and if you were anywhere else, you would find it rather pleasant, but this is the Grayhorn Valley, and the whole time you feel tense, as if something is about to jump out of the darkness and rip your face off at any moment. Llewellyn and Bridget, I'd like both of you to go ahead and make perception checks for me, please.
I think in Llewellyn, it's more a case of making a distraction roll, because he's not going to stop talking.
That
Start.
is a 5.
5.
13.
13. Well, Bridget, your mind is still swimming with those half-remembered flashes of dreams, and you're not really paying attention to your surroundings. And in fact, despite the fact that Llewellyn sets to work making tea, getting the pot out, boiling it on the campfire, even though you said you were fine, the sound of him doing this mundane work seems to comfort you and distract you. But Llewellyn, you, having not had your night troubled by the whispers of the Grendleshard, you are on full alert, and just as the pot begins to whistle, signalling that the tea is ready, you hear the snapping of wood, heavy footfalls, and you reach for your weapon as you whirl around Llewellyn and see the unmistakable glimmer of hungry eyes just beyond the tree line, staring at you from the darkness.
If you want food, let me know. I can probably scrounge something, rustle something up. Kettle just come to the boil for anybody who'd like some. Pray, step forward and be recognized. Do not assume that we will be hostile to you.
Capiera and Leilani, you're not sure afterwards whether it was the sound of the boiling kettle that woke you, or whether it was the sound of the great beasts in the darkness roaring, signaling that they are indeed hungry and would indeed like something to eat. All you know is the next thing you remember, you're being abruptly wrenched out of your sleep and trance, back to reality, scrambling for your weapons and armor as two gigantic brown bears come charging out of the tree line, spittle on their teeth, their eyes gleaming yellow, bloodshot with obvious manic hunger. Everyone go ahead and roll initiative for me, please.
Can do.
Would I have a chance to cast a spell?
Yes, because
They're
Llewellyn
rushing
passed
towards
his
me.
check, so you all have a chance.
Seconds
As you,
would I have?
I'd say you have about 30 seconds to prepare yourself in any way you'd
30
like.
seconds? Cool, can I use
Bridget
both
is
of my
going to
spell
grab
slots?
weapon. Also, roll the nat 20 on initiative and
Nice.
have the alert feat. So
Yeah, definitely.
Can I
You
use
can't be
2 spell
surprised.
slots and cast a spell twice?
Sure can.
I rolled a 17.
Animal friendship.
Oh,
Ooh, friendship. Ooh, nice.
Make some wisdom
thinking.
saves for me. Wisdom 13, unless their intelligence is 4
Yeah.
or higher.
She's already ready for action, and the druid, as soon as she rises from her sleeping roll, is whispering the incantations, and you all see something shimmer in the air as she shoots it towards the brown bears. And for a moment, Leilani, you see the two hulking animals hesitate. They pause for just a moment, and one of them looks at you, looks into your eyes, and in that moment you see it is in terrible pain, terrible distress. It's desperately trying to hold itself back, but then whatever is compelling it into this frenzy takes hold, and the bear throws its head back and roars and continues charging forwards as if nothing had happened at all. How'd you go on your initiative?
6.
Well, Llewellyn got an 8, and the good news is that's enough for him to intercept both of these 600-pound animals and stop either of them from getting to his compatriots. Because he has a piece of wood in his hand called a flail, and he has another piece of wood called a shield. So he's obviously ready. He's interested.
Bridget.
So, I did animal friendship on both by using 2
Yes.
spell slots.
And they both passed.
Uh,
They get
This is just
advantage.
defined it as 1, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, I described it as 1 because you get the second one, the spell doesn't even seem to go off. It just doesn't stop. It just continues charging. There's like a momentary flicker of some intelligence in its eyes, and then the bloodlust takes over. Bridget, you're up first. You reach for your weapon, and what do you do?
Bridget is immediately going to step forward and just let out as loud as she can a massive howl, just trying to get both of their attention.
Go ahead, make me an intimidate check, please.
Oof, that's a 9.
9? Well, they did both have animal friendship cast on them. It didn't really work, but as you stand up in front of the one directly in front of you and roar, "Arrgh!" You catch its attention. It stops right in front of you. It plops down onto all fours and it roars back. And then the two of you begin to stare into each other's eyes as this bear seems no longer to be interested in anyone else, but only you. The other one continues charging, its heavy footfalls shaking the earth around you. Is there anything else you'd like to do, Bridget?
Bridget is going to basically ready an attack. So the second the bear comes within range of the flail, just immediate swing.
Good idea. Capiera, you're up next.
Alrighty. We've got both these coming down. We did get the short rest, correct? So we do have some of our slots back.
Well, let's just say you had a long rest for now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
Because you did make the place relatively safe before you bedded down.
I don't have a lot for fighting a big fuck ton of bears. So, Cap will point out Bear 1. She'll point out Bear 1 with the tip of her rapier, and then striking at the air. I think I'd like to flavor it as she's striking on the air, carving out a symbol of the bear's face itself, using like her minor illusion almost, and then she strikes it through the center of this drawing, skewering it in a form of vicious mockery.
Vicious mockery. There we go. The bear fails its save.
Fantastic. We'll get disadvantage on its next attack roll before the end of its next turn, and it will take a 1 point of psychic damage.
1 is better than nothing. The other bear, still locked onto Bridget, doesn't even seem to notice when its companion falters for just a moment and lets out a whimper. Anything else you'd like to do, Capiera?
I believe that is... Actually, I will shout out to Bridget. Bridget, do try to keep them away from us, please. You'll do your best for that, I'm sure. And give her a bardic, please.
Bardic inspiration. All right. It is the enemy's turn. The first bear, the one that isn't fixated on Bridget, sniffs the air, and he smells fresh meat. A spittle of drool rolls out of his mouth and flecks on the ground as he begins to bound forwards past Bridget. And Bridget, would you like to use your reaction to strike the bear as it runs past?
Yeah, I will.
Go ahead, attack of opportunity. Roll to hit it.
Ugh, that is an 11 to hit.
Don't forget you do have a bardic.
Yeah.
Oh,
Go
yeah,
ahead, add
well,
your bardic.
What dice is that?
D6.
6.
Okay, so that's 5, so 16 to hit.
That's a hit. Go ahead, roll the damage.
That is 4 damage.
4 damage. Despite its gigantic size, the bear is surprisingly fast, and you only manage to just catch it on the tip of your weapon as it runs past. It staggers from the blow, but seems to not feel any pain at all as it rights itself and continues lumbering towards your companions. It bounds across the mud towards Llewellyn and rises up onto its hind legs as it tries to swipe him with its front paws. And Llewellyn, that will be... It's got disadvantage on its first attack roll. That'll be a 16. You narrowly avoided a nat 20 on that, but does the 16 hit?
No, it does not.
The bear roars and swipes with its other arm, and another 16, which doesn't hit you. The shield comes out, and you feel it shake from the force of the blow. And then the bear roars and pounces at you, gnashing its teeth, going for a bite attack, and that will be an 18.
On disadvantage. Oh, bloody hell. Okay,
You only got disadvantage on the first one, unfortunately.
Well, it's bitten me.
Unfortunate.
You feel the shield buckle, and the weight of the bear bowls you over. You fall backwards and feel the searing pain of the bear's teeth sinking into your arm, and you take 10 points of piercing damage.
Which I assume I can reduce to 7.
You sure can. You kick up your knee into the bear's stomach, and it winces and rolls off you, allowing you to get back up onto your feet, ready to defend yourself. Meanwhile, Bear 2, still eyes locked with Bridget, growls. slowly edges forwards, not breaking eye contact with you, Bridget. What do you do?
Is this like back on my turn in initiative?
Well, this is just, it's on its turn, it's approaching you. Are you going to maintain eye contact, or are you going to use your reaction to strike it as it gets closer?
She's going to look it in the eyes and just say, submit.
Submit. You got a 9 on your intimidation before, so I'm going to roll for the brown bear to see if he's sufficiently cowed. You bark, you whisper your command through gritted teeth, and that seems to be what sets the bear off immediately. Its eyes flash bright yellow, and it roars as it charges towards you, swinging its arms in your direction. The first will be a 19 to hit.
That hits.
Slam! The claws tear through your clothing and pierce the skin, and you take 6 points of piercing damage. The bear roars as it rears up onto its hind legs and makes another swipe with its other arm, and that'll be a 13 this time.
Does not hit.
Does not hit. You roll out of the way as the bear swipes his claws through the air. He growls and then whirls around and barrels towards you, gnashing his teeth, going in for a bite attack, and I'll make him roll with disadvantage because you did have him sufficiently cowed for a moment. And with disadvantage, he rolls a nat 1. You step backwards and watch as his teeth hungrily bite at thin air where your arm was only a second ago. And that's the enemy's turn. Leilani, you're up.
Sorry about that. Leilani's going to, seeing what's happened to Bridget, she's pretty mad. She's actually going to run up roughly in between both the beds. And she is visibly pissed off. Her hair is like starting to make little cinders. And she's going to spend a wild shape to summon Wildfire Spirit.
What does it look like?
Well, I think to fit with theme, I've already grabbed the token.
Go ahead.
She summons a little wolf. It's
Little
very
wolf.
much like dark. It looks like it's made from like, fire, but it's been encapsulated in something that's physical and
Fur black as
It's very
coals.
it very much takes on like that appearance that you'd probably see in Leilani if she really lets go.
Yeah.
And she's letting go.
At the
She's
moment,
not letting the changeling part of her hold her into a
She's-
form that isn't what she was.
her face shifting from one thing to another as cinders
I
burn
think
on the
what the party
tips
would
of...
see is the party would see like her face scars, like just scars on like half the face,
scars
all the
on
way
left.
down her arms. It is like, and they are like where the cinders are. You can see them coming from those scars now, as she is
Right,
visibly
like she's like cracked almost through the
Yeah.
scars. You see the
she's
flame?
let go.
like cracked
Yeah,
porcelain, and you can see the flames burning within. The howl of a wolf echoes throughout the area, and then a wolf with fur black as coals, with embers of flame spilling forth from its haunches, its ears, its tails, gallops out of
And
thin
then
air.
each creature that is in a 10-foot range needs to make a. Each creature within 10 feet of the spirit, other than me, when the spirit appears, must succeed on a dex save against my spell save DC of 13 or take some damage.
The bears roar in fright as flames lick the air around them, and both of them fail the save.
There's a bumping noise.
they take 8 fire damage.
Ooh, 8 fire damage each. Very nice.
I do believe that Bridget and Fiona will need to make the save.
Yes, unfortunately.
No, that's not Fiona, that's...
I think it's just every every creature that's not you, which means Llewellyn and Bridget also need to make
everything
the
that's
save.
in 10 feet of me. Oh,
Yeah.
Everything that's in 10 feet of the wolf. So
Within the wolf. Yes, so Llewellyn, you don't need to make the save, but Bridget, you do, unfortunately.
this one. I'm fine there.
What was the save again?
Dex save.
That's a dex save of 13.
That is a 10.
10. Oof.
Sorry, you take 8 fire damage.
You've never seen Leilani like this. You've seen her eyes glimmer like cinders. You've seen her hair the color of flame, but this is new, and as the flames whip around, you try to dodge out of the way only to feel one of them lick at the back of your neck and sear the skin. The bears yelp in pain as the flames singe their fur, and yet they don't seem to notice, continuing their ferocious assault. Anything else you'd like to do, Leilani?
Well, with my bonus action, I'm going to I'll command my wildfire spirit to use its flame seed. So it's got a range of 60 feet, and I do a ranged weapon attack with my spell attack modifier to hit.
Yep.
And then if it hits, it's 1d6 plus proficiency bonus fire.
Awesome. So which bear?
I'm going to do it on brown bear 2.
The one that's next to Bridget. Makes sense.
Yeah, 9's not going to hit.
Unfortunately, 9 won't hit. But the wolf's already done enough damage. It howls once again as the flames coalesce around it, and now the canine itself looks to be born of nothing but flame. Back to the top of the round, we go to Bridget again.
Llewellyn never got a shot.
Oh, wait, no, Llewellyn did not. So you're up now, Llewellyn. Sorry.
Yeah, he's gonna look at the bear and he's just gonna say, "Okay, Boo Boo, let's dance." And he is going to haul out and stump it with his mace.
Yeah, go ahead. It's big enough. Should be able to hit it.
And he is also going to smite it with a divine smite. He's hit with a 23.
That is a hit. Roll the damage.
That is going to be 10 plus... How do I... the divine smite. What is the divine... That's
So
2d8. 2d8.
Yeah. 2d8, and you spend a spell slot.
Spell slot, yeah. So that total is 20 damage.
Nice.
And there is a massive cacophonous flash of white light, like some very rude person with a flash camera in the middle of a judo match or something.
And what about you, Llewellyn? I don't think you've ever seen your flail do that. Does anyone see a moment of shock, surprise, or is Llewellyn stony faced in the middle of combat?
His expression is one of, "Oh my god, that bastard bit me! Ow, 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 ow." And that is his turn.
And then there's a thunderclap and the bear roars as it staggers backwards from the impact, and then we go to Bridget. You're up.
As Bridget stares at the bear, she's going to start spinning her flail just down low by the hip. And as it's spinning, it's going to start sparking with lightning as she activates Ride of the Storm.
Ooh.
And she's going to just say to the bear, "I believe I told you to submit." And she's going to try and hit it with the Ride of the Storm. With the flail.
Yeah. Well, let me just look that up. It's been a while since anyone's used that. What does he need to roll? Or you have to roll for him?
It's basically just an additional lightning damage.
Yes, I see.
So it's still flail hit.
Yeah, so it's just a normal hit.
Yeah, which is a 19 to hit.
19 to hit, that hits. Go ahead, roll the damage. Don't forget to add the extra elemental damage.
That is 10 damage from the flail and 4 damage from the lightning damage.
Ooh, very nice. The lightning spreads across the brown bear's body and it shivers, convulses, and still, even through what must be immense agony, continues desperately trying to get to you, fighting through the flames and the thunder. Anything else you'd like to do, Bridget?
Well, the Ride of the Storm takes a bonus action, so that would have been both my actions.
Yeah. So you've bonus attack. Would you like to move anywhere?
Bridget's gonna stay where she is.
Stay where she is. All right, Capiera, you're up.
Capiera does not want to get any closer to this big brown bear, but she will take a step so that the fireplace is in between her and the brown bear, and she'll continue to draw up images of this bear, specifically its rump, as she jabs it repeatedly in mockery of it.
Vicious mockery again, and the bear rolls a 12.
My save is 14, so it fails. That's another 1 psychic damage.
The bear renews its attack on Llewellyn, but it seems to hesitate for just a moment, and you think you see something resembling anguish in its eyes. Only for a fraction of a second. Anything else you'd like to do, Capiera?
That'll be my turn for now, thank you.
It is the enemy's turn. Brown Bear 1 quickly composes itself, and it makes one swipe with its left arm at Leilani, who's right next to it. Leilani, that will be a 16 to hit.
16's gonna hit.
Luckily, you are a werewolf in training, so the 9 points of slashing damage you take are halved to 4 as he tears the edge of your cloak, but doesn't do any significant damage to you. He roars as he swings with his right arm, trying to knock Llewellyn's shield out of the way, and Llewellyn, that will be an 8. So, whirl around and feel the shield bounce again, and then you hear the bear roar and you prepare to defend yourself as he once again tries to pounce, and that'll be a 17.
That is also a miss.
This time you stand firm, you slam the shield into the space in front of you, striking the bear's torso, knocking him off his feet just enough that you're able to step back and out of the range of his sharp teeth. Meanwhile, the other bear is still sizing up Bridget. He stares at you, still isn't looking into your eyes, and he seems hesitant to strike you again, Bridget, as if he's fighting some kind of internal battle. But he quickly is lost in whatever's driving this madness, and he continues his relentless assault. And Bridget, the first attack with his claws will be a 16 to hit.
That will hit.
You feel the claws slash through your left shoulder, and you take 10 points of slashing damage.
As a reaction, I'd like to use Stone's Endurance.
Sure can. How much do you soak?
Oof. 2 damage.
Still
Just
better than
not-
nothing.
The
bear-
In this situation, I'm actually down.
Oh, you're
Oh.
down. Oof, that's not good. Your skin turns stony grey, but it's too late, and Bridget makes a huge thump as she falls to the ground, her flesh now hard as stone, and the bear licks his teeth and begins to prowl forwards to claim his meal. And then we go to Leilani. You're up. What would you like to do?
Oh, Leilani is not that tipped. Right. Leilani was still holding a little back. There is one massive bite mark you see on the corner of her fucking neck appear. As she goes in for, like, with her scimitar, she is going to attack the brown bear. She does not care about the bear that's behind her. She steps right up and goes straight for the bear that just knocked her companion down.
And behind you, you hear Llewellyn's shield once again thump, as he intercepts the attack of opportunity from the brown bear, giving you free rein to move past. Go ahead.
That's a 13 hit.
That will hit. Go ahead and roll the damage.
That's 7 damage. I rolled max damage on that.
As the bear...
The scimitar.
As the bear kneels down over Bridget and licks his lips and opens his jaws wide, you leap forwards and thrust your rapier upwards into his chest. The great beast whines and gurgles and struggles, and then you feel its great body fall limp. You pull the rapier out and the bear falls to the ground, whimpering once and then moving no more.
Right. Bonus action. She's going to look at her little wolf and she's just going to go. And it's going to move up right next to the two of them. And for a bonus action, she's going to use its fiery teleportation. Choosing the spirit and each willing creature of my choice within 5 feet of it, teleporting up to 15 feet to an unoccupied space I can see. Then each, since there's no creature within 5 feet of the... Actually, technically there is. That's 10 foot, right?
10 feet. But there is you and Bridget are within 5 feet. Because then each
creature within 5 feet of the space that the spirit left must make a dex save or take some damage, but...
Well, that won't happen, but...
Anyway. But no, I'm going to take Bridget and
safely,
and we're going to go, like... The wolf is going to appear right here.
Behind
Bridget
Capiera.
is right here, near Capiera. And then Leilani's right there. And she's going to look at Capiera. Like, you start to see the fangs are actually appearing now. And she's like...
Growling. Almost more beast than woman. The air around you, Capiera, is now filled with embers from the wolf's fur and from Leilani's... whatever the hell's going on with her. But Bridget at least seems to be safe as she gasps for breath, leaving us to go with Llewellyn for his turn.
Okay, Llewellyn is he's just flat out gonna smack the thing. 19.
That's a hit. Roll the damage.
That's maximum. That's 11.
Nice.
You're holding off the bear. You've got your shield between you and it, and its claws. It's trying to get its claws around the shields, trying to bat at your arms and hand. And you grit your teeth, raise the flail, and swing. And then where the bear's head was, peering over the brim of the shield, there's now nothing. As bits of skull and brain rain over you, and the bear thumps uselessly to the ground.
Oh, hold on.
Now, is Bridget conscious or unconscious?
Unconscious, I believe.
Yeah, she's gasping for breath, but she's still there, still conscious. The wounds are much deeper than they appeared to be on first glance, and it's clear to you that if Bridget doesn't get medical attention now, she could bleed out.
Lay on hands.
Nice.
Does she have a condition, whether it be poisoned, diseased, or paralyzed, or anything like that I want to deal with?
Doesn't seem so.
Just gonna.
She has the condition dying, so.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. That's a
I'd be mad if she died.
Demarcation. I have to leave people who are actually dying to priests. I'm sorry. It's a union rule. I'm not going to break picket line. No, 4 hit points. And then I'm going to pull out a healer's kit. And I've got this kit on the back of my, it's basically my belt. And on behind, I've got like a reverse bum bag sort of thing. And I just pull out this first aid kit. And I immediately get working. And she is going to get, or they are going to get 12 back from the first aid. So all up 16.
Everyone's deathly quiet as you get to work. Laying a hand on her shoulder, you will the energy to flow through you. The wounds stop bleeding and begin to seal themselves before everyone's eyes. And then you turn to the mundane part of it. Stitching wounds together, applying ointments. And when you're done, when Bridget finally opens her eyes and gasps, the morning sun has started to rise. The shadows are flushed away in the grey light of the dawn, and suddenly everything is quiet.
Welcome back. Your story doesn't end there, it seems.
Not the first time I've tangled with a bear. Did not go any better this time.
I reckon Lailani's little wolf pup is now going up to Bridget and is like licking her.
The important question is, does it singe her skin when it licks her?
No.
No.
Does anybody else need healing?
I'm good. Thank you, though.
So, does anyone
Gonna heal myself.
Heal yourself. So,
Ooh, sorry.
Leilani, you don't have proficiency in nature. You are a druid, and as you process what just happened, it occurs to you how unusually strange it was that these bears would hunt as a pair, that they would hunt together this close to dawn at a time when bears would not normally be active. Furthermore, you know bears to be relatively docile creatures. They can be ferocious when they want to be, but they're not stupid, and they'll never pick a fight with prey they don't think they can actually take down. And yet these bears kept relentlessly attacking over and over through fire, through electricity. And then you remember that animal friendship spell that you cast that seemed for just a second to make a connection with something, only for that connection to be instantly severed. And it's now that you realize, Leilani, that one of the bears, the one that you poked your rapier through, doesn't appear to be dead. It's lying still, bleeding out. Not long for this world, but you can see it feebly stirring, can hear its rattling, laboured breaths. It slowly raises its head painfully and peers over at you as if beckoning to a friend.
I'm gonna run over, and I'm looking at it. How long does it have left?
This bear is not long. Every time it breathes, it coughs up blood, it's wheezing.
Aw.
You seem to have speared it right pretty much through one of its lungs, but in its last moments, what you see in its eyes is not the ferocious creature that was about to eat your friend. You see a scared, dying animal looking up at you, and it raises one of its front paws, trembling as if reaching out to take your hand.
You see, like, Leilani's just gonna be like on her knees, and she's like, "Sorry, everyone, but I'm sorry, but it had to happen like this. You'll rest easy now in the flames of life as you move on."
The bear shudders and whimpers. His paw drops and his eyes droop closed, and as he takes his last breath, something flashes through your mind, Leilani. A circular room built of stone, carved from cliff faces, and in the center of it, an orb, deep black, featureless, suspended above an altar, thrumming like a heart. Through the bear's eyes, you stare at it and you see something alien, something unknowable reach out, and then the bear dies. And you're back in the here and now.
I look over at the party and I'm like, "That was strange.
Everything
I
alright?
saw an orb and a ruin. It was there, and it wasn't filled with rage. It was like a grasp had taken it, and now it's gone. And you'll see Leilani's now going to sit there and just start breathing, and slowly goes back to this more human-looking little lady instead of having these wolf-like features and these marks and bites.
And the embers in her hair flicker and die.
Wolf's still there for about, like, I don't know, an hour.
Suddenly, it's as if the attack never happened. Suddenly, the hills and trees around you are alive with the sound of bird song. The morning sun is in the sky, and the smell of the dew washes away the scent of battle and death and decay. You have about half a day's journey ahead of you back to the village of Lodingen, but you don't have to head back to the village, not if you don't want to.
How are we all feeling after that? I mean, yeah, that was an awfully strange occurrence, wouldn't we say?
Yeah.
Does anybody want some mint tea? It's freshly boiled.
The kettle's been whistling during the whole fight.
Bridget is going to walk over to the rucksack and just stare down at it and just say, "You were part of this, no? Twisting the will of Savannah's little splinter?" Just aiming like the words at like the little shard.
It doesn't say anything. It responds with silence, perhaps knowing silence. And Capiera, you're awake now.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing Bridget addressing your rucksack, and you have it is obvious to you what she's talking to.
Have you really been talking to that thing?
To be fair, it began the conversation.
Well, I think it's a good idea to try and talk to the thing. I mean, obviously not Good intention, no?
Certainly not if it is messing with Sylvanus in such a manner.
Just worry what this could mean is all.
And as you prepare for your journey back, Capiera, do you pay any mind to the thing in your rucksack? Do you take it out to examine it? Or do you just sling it over your shoulder?
Cap will pull the thing out. We're gonna look at it. Says, this thing's causing the trouble, you reckon?
Still wrapped in the handkerchief in your hand, and right now it seems to be nothing more than a shard. You cannot feel the heartbeat. You cannot feel the thing within reaching out. It's utterly inert, at least right now.
Strange. Doesn't seem to react like it was before.
And so back into the... Go ahead.
If it's not reacting, there's no heartbeat, it's not speaking out, is it?
You don't, as you clasp your fingers over it, assuming it's still wrapped in the handkerchief, you don't feel anything. No vibration, no hum of magic, no voices whispering in your mind. Could just be a hunk of rock.
Okay.
It is most unusual, but you're not sure what it means.
On the journey back, Cap's going to spend more time with the thing and looking it over and all that.
Yeah, and so you begin your journey back to town, hiking back through the hills and across the countryside, making your journey in silence with the weight of what just happened and everything the night before still fresh on your minds. And as you walk, Capiera hangs back a little bit at the very back of the marching order. While everyone trudges ahead, Capiera once again reaches into her rucksack and extracts the strange shard of the Grendleroot. What would you like to do with it?
Cap will unwrap it from the not tissues, but
Handkerchief, yeah.
handkerchief, yes. And she will I believe I could attune to it, no?
You can attune to it.
Yeah. Cap might take the time to see if she can't get a better understanding of this thing, aka attune to it.
Unfurl the little silver chain. Place it around your neck and grasp it in your hand as you make the journey across the wilderness. It doesn't speak to you, but after a few moments, you feel it once again in your hand, softly purring with some unknown alien intelligence. And at that moment, Capiera, moment, it fully attunes to you. And you find your mind flooded with fragments of something. Deep, black, claw-like spires, twisting caverns beneath the earth, voices, thousands of them chittering in a language that you do not know. All of it happens within the span of a single second, and then suddenly it is all done, and the Grendel shard sits around your neck, silently thrumming away.
This thing has such an interesting tale to tell. And Cap will tuck the Grendleroot shard into her costume.
I want Bridget to see after all. And so, a few hours pass, and it's early afternoon when you crest a hill and see the gigantic six-fingered silhouette of the Cyclopean palm looming ahead on the horizon, and sure enough, the ramshackle collection of buildings that is the village of Lodingen sprawling around its base. You head down towards the village, passing by the outlying farms. And this time, as you draw nearer to the village limits, a couple of the commoners toiling in the fields look up, watch you pass. None of them saying anything, and none of their gazes lingering for longer than a few moments, but the people of the town have definitely noticed that you're back and that things are somehow different. You see a wooden watchtower looming ahead out of the thick scrub, and a voice calls out, "Oh, you're back! You're back!" And the next thing you know, Chadston, the boyish guard, is scrambling down the ladder of the watchtower, rushing towards you, a look of boyish wonder and excitement on his face.
This is the lad we met the first time, wasn't it?
It was, yes. You're back, he says, grabbing your hand, Capiera, and vigorously shaking it. And when he finally lets it drop back down to your side, he beams at each and every one of you, and he says, They said you was off searching for the bandits, you was, and I bet you gave them the old one too. I bet you did. I bet no one's got to worry about them anymore, because I've been telling everyone in town I said those people, the Duchess knows what she's doing, and we're not going to have to worry about bandits anymore. So go on, tell me, how did it go? Did you run him straight through the yard? Did it come to fisticuffs? Was there an epic chase across the fields?
Capiera giggles, turning the mask to its comedy side as to face him. And she says, "And I thought I was the storyteller. Maybe I have an apprentice in the works." But no, we were investigating the missing man. But that's something to discuss with the Lord. So, if you would excuse us, Judson.
And did you find him? He says, and you physically push him out of the way to get past. Because I heard he went south because he was looking for the bandits, and then a voice rings out from somewhere nearby, a harsh feminine voice saying, "Back up on the tower, boy. Keep your eyes on the tree line. You won't be seeing anything chatting, running your lips off like that." And Chandra Willowmane, the leader of the guard, the Baron's right-hand man, is hiking up from the town square towards you, a grim look on her face. Yes, ma'am, says Chadston, hangs his head in embarrassment and scrambles back up onto the rickety wooden tower. Chandra nods in greeting, and then she beckons for you to follow. And as she leads you down into the town, past the townspeople going about their business, past the surprisingly busy today market square in the centre, she says, her voice lowered to almost a whisper, "What did you find?"
Well, we found the missing man, but unfortunately he was no longer with us. But we have a lead. An interesting bit as to where we suspect the bandits may be hiding, and potential for how we can infiltrate them.
She bows her head. Somehow I knew that scout would not be returning, but I thank you for finding him nonetheless. She turns to Llewellyn. Pray tell, did you at least bring back his remains so they can be properly interred?
I can't remember whether we did or not.
You did not know. Mainly because, you know, they turned into a horrific monster that fought you.
Yeah.
And also you burnt them with an oil flask.
There were issues with transporting the remains. Do I recall correctly that there's a little bit of famine in the community?
Well, you'll never hear anyone saying the word out loud, famine, but with the bandits and with all the animals running amok,
I need half a dozen stout folk and at least one very large wagon with a team. We have 2 brown bears felled not disproportionately far away, which we go and collect the bodies, should provide you and the community with a very good deal of meat.
Agree. At least a week's worth, she says. She leads you through the market square. You can't help but notice how lackluster the wares that are on display are. The fruit baskets with only 2 or 3 oranges apiece. The meat, the dried meat hung up on racks that looks woebegone, threadbare. You pass through the market square and come to a nondescript little house on the other side. Chandra stops for a moment in front of the door, reaches for a keychain, unlocks it, and then pulls the door open, gesturing for you to step inside. Follow her into the little house, and she pulls the door shut behind you, and Chandra's house is fairly sparsely furnished. There's a single wooden bench, a table, chairs, a couple of cabinets, but the house is very plain, very functional. She pulls out a chair at the table and it scrapes on the floorboards, and then she takes a seat. She looks up, her face still grim, and she says, please, make yourselves comfortable and tell me what you found.
Oh my god, what are you cooking, bro?
Oh,
Like
sorry. I thought I muted. I'm
No.
just making coffee.
Oh good, I heard this audaciously loud ding.
That's just the bell in the market ringing outside the house.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, sorry about that, because I have to use audio boost equipment so that I can hear. It picks up everything.
It's all good.
No
Surprised
issue, my
my
friend.
dog and cat haven't made an appearance today.
Oh, don't worry, we heard your cat.
Oh, okay.
We also had Minnie.
Yeah, I like cats meowing. I don't edit out because everyone likes to hear cats meowing. Chandra frowns.
The flop of Minnie's a bit different.
Chandra frowns. So, missing scout didn't make it. Did you find anything about the bandits? Any clue as to where they're hailing from so we can organize a force and nip this in the bud? The people of this village have suffered enough.
Well, we have some idea. She'll turn to Lilani and say, "You understand the naturistic aspect of it? You explain it."
Nature's not really my thing.
Oh, sorry. I should mean Bridget. No. You. Never mind. You're the druid.
Druid, but nature's like, I don't think you're nature.
And
Not
yet,
really my thing.
and yet, you have enough knowledge from your druid training to know how the bandits are getting past the razor wire. But perhaps there's a little bit of embarrassment for a moment before Leilani recounts what you found in the warlord's tomb. And indeed, Chandra stifles a giggle for a moment and raises an eyebrow as if to ask if you're serious, and then receiving no response, she throws back her head and laughs. So all I have to do is assemble the militia, tell them to pee on their boots, and then they can get to the Imperial Watchtower without being torn to shreds. Except then they'll stink, and the people holding a vigil in the tower, the sentries will smell it, and surely you have another proposal for how we can get in close proximity to where the bandits are?
Well, in truth, they will have been having to cover themselves in urine as well. So it isn't a given that they'll be smelled. Really, you should leave it to us. We'll clear the tower.
She nods. If, perchance, you'd be interested in finding a alternative method, something a bit less embarrassing. You're a druid, I'm aware, Leilani. You have the training, and there should be several plants and wild fungi in this region. I'm sure one of them would be able to do something in some sort of concoction. There is a hermit who lives not far out of town, actually, she says.
You want us to get him to urinate on us instead?
She smiles and then looks at you, Llewellyn. She says, alas, no, though Bathilda is rather strange, and some of the stories I hear tell from the youngsters of the village. No, but if there is a specific plant or fungi or any other reagent you're looking for, Bathilda would probably know where to find it. Actually, come to think of it, no one's heard from her in a while. She usually comes down to the village to trade every week or so, but I suppose with everything that's been going on, no, nobody has had the chance to check up on her. She shrugs. We have more pressing matters to attend to. Just for my own peace of mind, and that for the Barons, I will ask, what is it you plan to do next?
Well, in the short term, are you going to assist us in securing something like, 1,200 pounds of meat?
Of course, she says. At this, she snaps a finger, and the back door opens that leads to one of the rooms of her house, and a man comes out already dressed in full plate armor, brandishing a sword. And she says, my husband, Frederick, always ready for action. What do I have to kill? He says, thrusting the sword up in the air. And she rolls her eyes. Nothing, my dear. Just, assemble some of the men and women. Sir Llewellyn here has, found a rather large bounty of meat.
Don't worry about the hole you've just put in the ceiling there, sir. That'll sand right out.
Caviar is dusting off bits of drywall from her shoulders.
Yeah, that have come from where the swords pierced the roof. Of course, he says. Right away, ma'am. And he sheaths the sword and awkwardly departs the room. Well, that is taken care of. Husband. Well, let's say he's, not particularly a great sword arm, and you can take that however way you like it. But I think this is his speed. You didn't encounter anything dangerous on the way back, so I'm sure everyone will be fine collecting the meat and bringing it back. And everyone down at the Summer Spring Inn in the tavern, well, they'll be very happy to have a change from the same old stew.
As she's saying, you didn't encounter anything on the way back. Llewellyn is looking at the massive hole where this giant bear ate part of him, and how there's blood just all over the place, and he's just sort of looking at her completely bewildered.
I think other than that.
Aside from the bears, at least.
Are we going to be accompanying the recovery team, or do you feel confident that they can find the source of our battle? It was literally just on the trail.
I think they'll be fine, she says. I think there are more pressing issues for you to attend to here. Things that my men can't do without putting themselves in terrible danger, such as figuring out why the animals are going insane, figuring out how to take the tower. And when my men back, presuming you need their help, I will be prepared to assemble a small force to assist you when you take the tower. But that's at least a day away, so for now I will simply ask, what is it you wish for me to do while you conduct your investigations? Bear in mind, I must see the Baron after this and debrief with him, so if there's anything you'd like the Baron to do for you, I'll pass it along as well, of course.
Does anybody have their heart set on the next course of action? Something that your gut tells you we need to look into next?
Well, I think the tower is the next logical choice, no?
Yeah. Although Bridget is very interested in sorting out the situation with the wildlife, especially after recent events.
On that topic, Chandra...
The mention... Oh, sorry.
On that topic, says Chandra, I believe the other scout, the one who encountered that pack of wolves, has recovered well enough while you were gone that if you wish to go and question him, he should be up to seeing you. If you would like to do that, let me know. I'll send word ahead so those on the Mulberry Farm know you're coming.
You've got him stationed out at the farm?
Yes, the Mulberry family. They've got one of the farms out on the outer rim there. We've got several of our guards posted in the vicinity. You've met Chadston at the very least. And so the farm they're on is relatively safe, but, well, I hear the Mulberry family have been rather reluctant to leave their farmhouse ever since the scout was attacked. So they'll be on edge, and they likely won't have known you've arrived in the village, so I will need to send word ahead, just, so they know you can be trusted and all.
Dale, given that Llewellyn knows deep speech, he's going to now be referring to Chadstone in deep speech. He's going to give him a name that in deep speech means Slayer of Drywall, and yeah, that's how he's going to address him from now on. Sort of. Do we want to... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. You're the ones deciding what to do.
Do we want to work as a group, or are we going to split up to deal with stuff? Like, is there some lame list of laundry or what have you that, say, I could just go and do to give everybody more operational time?
I think probably the best thing to do is, just because of proximity, is check at the Mulberry Farm, see what the guy reports. Because if that guy is, conscious again, we can get some good info out of him, maybe get more of an idea of what this black orb is, and then we could probably try and figure out what we can use to get into the tower, ?
Might want to avoid wolfing out at him.
Yeah. Probably idea. He's probably a bit
touchy.
Shell-shocked.
Any other thoughts or ideas, plans? Lolani, Bridget?
Well, go ahead, Bridget.
I suspect it may be worthwhile speaking to this man. We do not want to have wildlife jumping on our backs as we try to take the tower.
Fair, or pushing deeper into town. Either of those.
Word sent to the Mulberry Farm, then, says Chandra. While you're headed out that way, it might interest you to know that Bathilda the Hermit ranges in that vicinity as well. There are some hills and some wooded areas just beyond the farms, and as I understand it, Bathilda's shack can be found somewhere in that vicinity. I'm sure she's capable of taking care of herself, but, we have no one in town experienced with matters of poultices and plants and concoctions, and, if your druid was looking for any materials, the best person to be able to locate them would, of course, be Bathilda.
Maybe we should make a visit to her.
Well, I have word sent up to the Mulberry Farm. You've had a long walk. I don't suppose I can talk you into staying for lunch, she says, and beams at you with a genuine smile.
She smiles back with the comedy side of the mask and says, well, I wouldn't say no to a free lunch.
She meets Leilani's eyes and she says, as I understand it, you're quite a hand in the kitchen. Mind assisting me? And maybe I'll learn a thing or two?
Sure. What do you got?
Follow me, she says, and as soon as she leads you away into the little room beyond which passes as the kitchen. It's not really much of a kitchen. There's a cupboard and a chest of drawers and a stone oven. And as soon as you're out of the earshot of the other, she leans in and she whispers, well, my husband normally handles lunch, but as he's been set to task collecting several pounds of meat, I must confess. She pulls open the pantry and looks forlornly at all the various ingredients within. I'm afraid I wouldn't know what to do with any of this, so feel free to So you look into the cupboard and there's a reasonable assortment of things. There's various types of grains and cereals, couple loaves of bread, some dried fruit, a couple of leather pouches containing jerky and other dried meats.
Sorry, I just read what I had to put. So she's gonna grab the loaves of bread. She's gonna grab any fruits that she can grab dried or not. If she can find anything that's meat, she'll use it. But a lot of it's more natural foods that she makes. So she is making a foot of bread.
And so a few minutes later, Leilani and Chandra come out bearing trays of sandwiches with jerky and meat in them. What in the real world we would call ham sandwiches, but here in the village of Lodingen are a rare commodity indeed. And Leilani's put some sort of seasoning on the meat. It doesn't taste like the usual dried, drab adventurer's jerky. You could taste you could taste the meat. It doesn't just taste like leather, and the bread is, well, unlike most of the things in this town, seems to have been freshly baked. It's a rather satisfying lunch, and Leilani, that will count for your chef feat next time the group takes a short rest. Polish off a couple of plates and then pack the last couple of remaining sandwiches into your bags to take along with you, and then Chandra thanks you for your time, and as she hurries you out of the little house, she says, and when you see the Mulberries, please make sure you tell them that the Baron is doing everything he can to ensure the surrounding farms are safe, and if there's anything that they're worried about in particular, to come back to me, to not be afraid to approach me, and I'll make sure it gets taken care of, okay? And then you begin to make your way once again through town. Out to the outlying farms. Still mid-noon, it's that sleepy time of day. Around 2 to 3 p.m, that time of day where Everyone just feels the unmistakable urge to stop what they're doing and nap. And as you make your way through the town, you find the outlying fields a bit sparser than before. Several of the workers have headed inside for lunch and have decided not to come back out until the usual 3:30 Idus passes. And then I would like everyone to go ahead and roll a perception check for me, please.
Sure.
Look at
That is a dirty 20.
Dirty
That was
20.
a 6 from me.
That's a 16.
that's a 19 from me.
You're scarce clear of the town square, scarcely trudging along the dirt trail that winds alongside the outlying farms, when suddenly a scream cuts through the day-to-day activity of the village, followed soon after by the unmistakable howling of wolves. Several of the villagers working in the fields immediately drop their tools and run for cover, scrambling for the nearby shelters and farmhouses, pulling the doors shut tight behind them. And in the distance, the screams and the howling continues.
Start sprinting towards the howling and the scream.
Same
Well,
with Bridget's
the scream.
sword, yeah. Same with Bridget, great sword already drawn.
Already drawn, running as fast as you can.
Yep,
The
Cap is
smell-
pretty quick behind him.
Yep. Any spells or anything you'd like to cast before you launch
will,
into what is probably going to be grueling, deadly combat?
I'm going to tap Llewellyn with a long strider to get him over there as quick as he can.
Ooh.
Your armor, Llewellyn, feels light as silk. All of a sudden, your feet seem to spring off the ground as each of your strides becomes great leaps, and you run ahead.
So this is how they fake the moon landing. Okay. Just before he enters combat, he will divine armor himself.
Very nice. Leilani and Bridget, anything you'd like to do?
Bridget is pretty much just looking for the biggest threat, ready for action.
Yeah, preparing yourself.
Leilani.
Sorry, Leilani, you'll have to repeat that. I didn't catch it.
She's just gonna hold back.
Gonna hold back. Yep. Ready, waiting to see what happens. All right. So Llewellyn, you have Long Strider on, so I'll move you immediately to the front of the initiative order.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like everyone else to roll for initiative, please.
Alrighty.
That's 16.
16.
I got a 2. Sorry, a 7, I should say.
7. And Leilani. 5. Well, you did say you were hanging back, so it makes sense. You sprint past a wooden sign with fading lettering reading Mulberry Farm, and then you round a corner. The smell of blood hangs in the air, and streaks of red stain the brook where it runs alongside the road. Ahead, a large water wheel turns in the blood-stained water, trailing small crimson waterfalls as it rises, and beyond that, at the end of the trail, is the Mulberry Farm itself. At least a dozen slain farm animals lie broken in the field, streaks of blood leading from their carcasses. And past all that is the Mulberry farmhouse itself, and beside it, cowering behind a rickety wooden wagon, is one of the farm hands. He sees you come charging up the trail and he screams, "Help! Help!" And then all of the wolves present howl, turn their eyes towards the newcomers and prepare to attack. Llewellyn, you're up. What would you like to do?
Oh, I'm just leaping at one of them and smacking its brains into oblivion.
You do have long strider, so you have more than enough walking speed to get to any of them. So there's two groups you can see, Llewellyn. To your left, there is a group of 3 wolves, and they're sort of circling the cart that the farmhand is cowering behind. There's another group to your right, and they seem to be making a beeline for the last remaining cow, who's furiously trying to escape into the fields.
So what you're basically asking me is an agricultural take on the trolley problem. I'm going to save the farmhand.
The farmhand, you charge up, moving faster than you have any right to. And with the 3 wolves ahead of you, go ahead and roll to hit for me.
That'll be a 21.
21, that hits one of the wolves. Go ahead, roll for damage.
That'll be 10.
10. Ooh. The flail comes down and crack. You hear one of the wolf's rib bones snap as he winces in pain, his 2 companions hanging back behind him, haunches raised, growling, ready to defend their packmate. Anything else you'd like to do, Llewellyn?
Many things, but I am only a 2nd level paladin, so the action economy reckons that that's about it.
All right, Bridget, you're up.
Just wanted to double check. With moving diagonally, is that considered 5 feet or 10 feet of movement?
5 feet.
By rules, it's 10 feet, but I consider it 5 feet because you're just moving from one square to another. So, yeah, actually, rules is written on a grid. Diagonal movement costs double, but I don't.
Wow,
who
really?
does
I didn't
that?
know that.
Yeah, like exactly. Who does it?
I've never seen anyone actually rule like that.
It's like counting how many arrows you have left.
Well, with that in mind, I believe going diagonally, it'd be 25 feet to get to the other wolves, like wolf 5.
Yeah, if you want to charge straight towards the other group, you have just enough movement to get there.
Okay. And she is going to basically swing with the greatsword.
Straight in. Go ahead and roll with advantage, because these 3 wolves are focused on the cow, and it's only at the last moment that they hear your footfalls and actually recognize that you're charging towards them. So I'll let you roll with advantage.
That is a 15 to hit.
That is a hit. Go ahead, roll the damage.
That's 10 damage.
10 damage, same as Llewellyn. The great sword cleaves into the wolf, and if you were a fraction earlier, you would have bisected him neatly in 2. As it stands, however, all you manage to do is thrust the blade of your sword through the side of his fur, and blood spurts out, blood and fur on the paint the dirt in front of him, and he winces in pain, rolling over, flung a foot away from the impact. Anything else you'd like to do?
Bless me, sorry.
Bless you, Triss.
My bonus action, I'm going to activate the Ride of the Storm on the greatsword.
How much extra damage?
I believe with this, it just sort of puts the effect on the sword. It just activates when I actually
when
hit.
you strike. Yep, so next round. Fair enough.
Yeah.
You feel the electricity surging through the hilt of the weapon and prepare yourself to strike again. It is the enemy's turn, and the wolf that you're squared off with Llewellyn, he growls, spits saliva at you, and retaliates for the grievous damage you performed upon him, and that will be a 23. Because he rolls with advantage because of his pack tactics. Does that hit you, Llewellyn?
23 does indeed, unfortunately.
You weren't expecting this wolf to strike back. You thought that your blow would be enough to dispatch him, but he leaps back at you with such ferocity that you nearly drop your shield as he sinks his teeth into your arm and rips some of your tabard away, dealing 6 points of damage.
Gets reduced to 3, and I yell at him, "Come on, I've already been bitten there once today."
You're definitely not the friend of the animals today. The third wolf sniffs the air and, seeing the commoner cowering behind the wagon, makes a beeline straight for him. He's going to roll to hit the commoner. The commoner ducks as the wolf's paws cut through the air, and the commoner scurries away to hide behind a large boulder instead, screaming as he runs. Wolf number 1 steps up to defend its mate and lashes out at Llewellyn, rolling with advantage. It'll be a 20 to hit, and Llewellyn, you feel yet more teeth sink into your flesh, and you take another 6 points of damage.
Some bit. Okay. Ow.
Wolves 4 and 5 and 6 are torn between Bridget and the cow ahead, and Wolf 4 howls. He breaks off from the pack, starts to chase down the cattle, while the other 2 square off against Bridget, both of them going in to make their attacks at the same time. And Bridget, the first will be a 14.
A 14 will hit.
14 will hit. The wolf charges at you, leaping through the air, and the force of his body nearly bowls you off your feet as you take 6 points of damage. Wow, I keep rolling 6s on their damage. The next wolf, sensing weakness, follows up his mate's attack. He bounds forwards, growls, and attempts to sink his teeth into your exposed side. And that will be a 13 to hit.
I believe that is a meets it and beats it.
Ooh. Go ahead and roll an animal handling check for me, please.
That's a 10.
A 10. A 10. You feel the brush of the wolf's fur, and you realize that you've left a blind spot open, and you prepare yourself for the pain that is sure to come. And then, in the distance, you hear... And bounding from over one of the hills comes...
Hey!
Igor the Mastiff. He looks far more ferocious than he was the other day. His collar is gone, his fur is looking disheveled, his teeth covered in muck and grime and what looks like blood. And as the wolf goes to attack you, he pounces on it, pinning it to the ground, and the 2 canines begin to roll and wrestle in the grass. Igor nips at the wolf and deals 4 points of damage to it. You hear it yelp in pain, and then Wolf 4, chasing after the cow, goes in for an attack, and you hear the cow in agony as the sharp teeth pierce its skin. It kicks out with one of its hooves, knocking the wolf away, and drags itself away from the encounter, leaving a trail of blood behind it as it tries to make a break for safety. All right, and Capiera, you are now up.
Alrighty. Cap, I think, is going to go and back up her man Llewellyn. And I'll make my movement. Yep. Take my stride just down here, I believe. And I'll be calling out to these flea-bitten, tick-ridden mutts that are prancing about this fine established farm. As I'm casting a I'm sorry. I'm been sneezing a lot, so I'm a little bit out of it.
That's alright, me too. Vicious Mockery, I believe.
Vicious Mockery. Thank you very much.
You call out. You're just mangy dogs and nothing more, and the wolf rolls a 4 on his wisdom save.
You will fail, taking 2 points of psychic damage, thank you.
So you hitting the one that Llewellyn's already struck, or the other one?
The other one.
The other one. The wolf, about to leap towards Llewellyn, stops in its tracks, and it looks over at you, and you see nothing but deep hatred in its eyes. Anything else you'd like to do?
Llewellyn, see to it that these mutts are put to sleep, would you? Giving him a bodic.
Finishing it up, perhaps with a little whistle of the main melody of that song that you and Llewellyn love so much.
Why not?
And Leilani, you are up.
All right, Leilani is going to move her. She's going to move this over here.
Yep. And Wolf 5 is currently wrestling with Igor, so he counts as grappled, so any attack rolls you make against him will be with advantage.
Ooh, okay. A little fun with it. She's going to spend her wild to summon her wildfire spirit again.
Yet more wolves.
She's going to summon it. She's gonna summon it around here.
Between Wolf 6 and Wolf 4, once again,
And they
embers
have
flicker.
to make
Yeah, they have to make dex saves, I believe. Once again, embers and cinders flicker around you as another wolf howls, and leaping out of the brush behind Igor is your wolf, his fur already aflame, and as he runs, the grass behind him burns, flames dance off his body in the air around him, and that will be for Wolf 6. So I think all 3 wolves, it's within 10 feet, yeah?
within 10 feet of the wolf.
So
So
Wolf 6 and Wolf 4, yeah. Well, actually, yeah. So Wolf 6 passes, Wolf 4 does not.
Alright, Wolf 4 is going to take 8 damage.
Chasing the cow, and it's about to finally catch up to the bovine and grab one of its hind legs when your spirit lunges forwards, gnashes his teeth, and flames engulf the wolf ahead. He yelps as they lick at his fur and then backs away growling, deciding who he wants to attack next. Anything else you'd like to do, Leilani?
You know what? Bonus action. The wildfire spirit's going to use its little flame seed.
Yeah. Gonna try to hit the wolf it's in front of, or?
Let's spit one out at Wolf 6.
Yeah, Wolf 6 right in front of Bridget. Go ahead.
5, I believe. 12 to hit.
12 to hit. The flaming wolf opens his mouth and snarls, and a little orb of fire shoots out, sails through the air, and as Bridget raises her sword to bat the oncoming wolf away, the orb strikes it in the back, and it yelps and skids into the dirt, dying.
That takes 6 fire.
6 fire damage. Only had 1 HP left, so it doesn't just die. Instantly, its fur dissolves in the flames, and the air is filled with the smell of burning flesh. And then we go to the next round, top of the order. Llewellyn, you're up.
Okay, I am going to assume that I do not have the ability to sort of Yeah, I can't do. I've got a shield, so I can't. Okay. I'm trying to figure out how to save that poor bugger, and there's no way I can. So it's just going to be the one that I have already hit. I'm going to hit with my flail again. And it is going to be a 9. Except I was given a bardic inspiration, wasn't I?
Yes, so go ahead, roll it. It may be the difference between hitting and missing in this case.
How about a 14?
That hits. Go ahead, roll the damage.
Suddenly noticed that I'm humming the tune, and I go, oh man. And damage.
There's
maximum
damage. There's another sickening crack as the wolf is flung away from you from the impact. Its body slams into the wall of a nearby tool shed and comes to rest in the dirt, broken and dead. Anything else you'd like to do, Llewellyn?
I'm gonna bellow at the other wolf that's attacking. Actually, can I make a mimicry sound and sound like a wolf that's screaming in pain?
Yeah, you can try. I'll ask you to make me a performance check or an animal handling check, either one.
I'm gonna go ahead and do that performance because I want to trick the one going after a person to come after me. That is a 15.
Calls the farmhand cowering behind a boulder. Ah! The wolf is tearing across the yard towards him, and that's when Llewellyn opens his mouth, throws back his head, and lets out the most pained-sounding yelp he can muster, and the wolf stops in its tracks, sniffs the air, and then turns and begins charging back towards where it's sure one of its mates is in trouble.
Woohoo!
Well done.
Well done. All right, Bridget, you're up.
Bridget is going to try and swing at Wolf 5 with the great sword.
He's still rolling around at your feet with Igor snapping at his neck. He's grappled, so you do get to roll with with advantage.
That is a 24 to hit.
24 to hit, that is definitely a hit. Go ahead, roll the damage. Don't forget to add the extra elemental damage.
That is 6 damage from the greatsword and 4 from the Ride of the Storm.
10 points of damage. Whack! The sword strikes at the wolf's leg, and electricity surges through his body. He yelps, and Igor growls, sinking his teeth into the wolf's throat, killing it. Blood showers the little mastiff's face as he tears the wolf's flesh and throat away. He looks up at you, his face covered in blood and viscera, his little stubby tail wagging from left to right.
Igor.
Anything else you'd like to do, Bridget?
I have a bonus action left. Like, am I able to use that for movement at this point?
No, well, you still have movement, so you can just move if you want to.
Okay, Bridget is going to point at the cow while looking at Igor and just say, protect. And then basically move off to try and help with the other wolves.
Yeah, so she can get about halfway through the yard this turn. The dog nods, and he sets off chasing after the wolf and the cow. Let's see how he goes. The wolf still has eyes on the cow. He's charging across the yard around the corner of the farmhouse after the great terrified bovine, and he goes to attack it, only for the cow to kick once again with one of its hooves, striking the wolf in aside, knocking him out of midair, giving the cow just enough purchase to continue running without being caught. The wolf rises to his feet, prepares to give chase, and then Igor comes up barking behind, woo, 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 distracting him from the cow. And then it is Wolf 1's turn. Standing in front of Llewellyn, he growls, and he goes to make a bite, but he's going to go with disadvantage because of the vicious mockery, which means Llewellyn, that's going to be a nat 1 from the wolf.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
He runs forwards, and you see his front legs bend as he's about to spring forwards, and then as he lunges, he stumbles on a large fist-sized stone in the mud, stumbles and falls over, wincing and whimpering as he does so. Meanwhile, the third wolf, distracted from the commoner, turns, locks eyes with you, and bounds forwards and rolls with advantage because of pack tactics. That's going to be a nat 20 on Llewellyn, unfortunately.
Oy.
You realize that on all of these, you've missed me exactly twice.
I know, I don't know what's going on tonight. The paladin is the pincushion tonight, for some reason. That's going to be 11 points of damage. You're staring at the other wolf, and you're about to move up and finish it off, when you hear the other wolf bounding up behind you, whirl around a second too late as he pounces on you and sinks his teeth in. And then, Capiera, you are up.
So do I get to apply the damage reduction?
If it's a reaction, sure.
No, I mean I have heavy armor master.
This is just, I don't think there's anything about it not working on crit, so sure.
Okay.
Alrighty. Capiara is going to bound forward towards Wolf 1 with her rapier flashing, diving next to Llewellyn, and slash out at the ugly little ugly little wolf. So we're gonna go for a get +6 on that. Can't. Yikes! No, I won't, because that's a natural 1.
We don't have any halflings in this group, unfortunately. You charge at the wolf, and you think Llewellyn's pretty much got it dead to rights, so you start to dance and do a little flourish, only to stumble on the same stone that the wolf did, nearly losing your footing, and although you manage to maintain your dignity, you do not strike your foe.
That will be my turn. I think I might... no. Llewellyn, I seem to be out of practice. Do make it up for me with a bardic.
We'll see if Llewellyn can help out. Next up, we go to Leilani.
I think Leilani's gonna get her wolf to shoot a wolf seed. Flame seed at the wolf.
Points her finger at the wolf, and your own wolf howls, and a little orb of flame shoots once more out of his mouth. And how does he go?
8.
8. Unfortunately not. The wolf sees it coming, and it scurries behind a couple of wooden boxes.
Well, that was my burn. So I'm going to then
Still have your turn.
Oop, I added my mouth up. Oop, there we go. Yeah, so I'm going to move my 30 feet.
Towards the others.
Towards the others, and I'm going to cast the spell, Produce Flame.
Yeah, produce flame. And who are you going to hurl that at?
I'm going to hurl that in 30 feet.
I think you can hit.
As everything's out of range.
That's alright. You've got it ready to go.
It.
Hold it and fling it if anything comes close enough. Sure.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
reckon she could do a held action on that, actually. And if anything comes closer
Yeah,
within
just
range,
let
she'll throw
loose.
it.
Alright. Llewellyn, you're up again.
Okay, yeah, I've got no real. He's going to pound the first wolf, which is, I think, all it's really taken is one vicious mockery. Yes.
Yep, taken one vicious mockery. It hasn't taken any damage aside from that.
And oh, that's going to be a miss. That's an 8. Did I have a bardic heal, a bardic inspiration?
You do, in fact.
You do, so go ahead and roll it.
I just don't think it's going to help. No, it's got to overcome such a huge deficit.
It's up to you if you want to use it or not.
There is a chance, I will say.
Yeah, it only got up to a 12.
Do you know what the AC of the wolf is? 12. So you hit it. Go ahead.
Oh, thanks. Okay, that's
Fantastic.
good. The damage was not great, though. It was only 6.
That's alright, that's enough. You fling your flail at it, hitting one of the wolf's front legs. You hear it crack, and he begins to limp as he winces from the shock of it all. Anything else you'd like to do, Llewellyn?
Unfortunately, I'm not really at the point where I have lots of bonus actions.
That is true. You are a paladin.
All my bonus actions take spell slot.
Bridget, you're up.
Given it's worked once before, Bridget is going to run up to Wolf 3 and attempt to grapple it.
Ooh. Alright, go ahead, make me an athletics check, and it will make an acrobatics or athletics check of its own. It will go with acrobatics because its dex is higher.
That is 11.
11? You wrap your arms around the wolf's body. It's easy to get close to it. It's limping from Llewellyn's blow, and as you're about to pull it to the ground, it snaps at your thumb, and you pull your hand out of the way, and that's just enough for it to kick out at you and break free as it rolls a 13. But I'll say that was a bonus action. You can still attack if you want to.
She's going to try and attack with the greatsword.
Go ahead, roll to hit.
That is a 17 to hit.
That definitely hits. Go ahead, roll the damage.
That is 8 damage and 1 damage lightning from the right.
He's already been hit by Llewellyn, so that's all it takes. You swing your greatsword towards him, and an arc of lightning shoots from the end and strikes the wolf dead where he stands. Anything else you'd like to do?
She's just going to look at that, at Wolf 1, and just let out a loud howl, looking it straight in the eyes, almost like a challenge.
Go ahead and make an animal handling or an insight check for me, please.
That is 16 on insight.
You howl, meeting the wolf's eyes, and in the wild, this would have worked. This would be you establishing dominance over the pack, calling upon these younglings to fall in line, for that's what these are, younglings. Barely adults. They would have been cubs only a couple of moons ago, and normally they'd fall before you as the den mother, but not this time. When you meet eyes with the wolf, you see that same insatiable bloodlust that the bears had staring back at you, and the wolf trembles as if something deep inside it is struggling to take hold, but then it roars and snarls and charges towards Capoeira, gnashing its teeth. And Capoeira, that will be a 19 to hit you.
That just hits, yeah. By just, I mean entirely.
The wolf sinks its teeth into you, dealing 6 points of piercing damage. And I need you to make a strength save, please.
Strength save. 19. Not bad with a
19.
plus 0.
The wolf attempts to pin you, but you take a step back and use the hilt of your rapier to bat it away. And then it is Wolf 4's turn, squaring off against Igor. It growls, and the two canines charge towards each other. Igor leaps out of the way as the wolf's teeth gnash the air, and then he barks and responds in kind, pinning Wolf 4 to the ground, two canines wrestling in the dirt. And then, Capiera, you're up.
Fantastic. Cap will make another go at taking out Wolf 1 with a slash of the rapier.
Go ahead,
Nice and
go
simple.
ahead.
Save some of those spell slots when the mama shows up. Oh, much better. I think it's going to be a... 21 to hit, please.
That's definitely a hit. Go ahead, roll the damage.
Sweet.
Don't mind if I do. 1d8 plus 4. Where have you gone, d8? There you are. I mean, 9 points of piercing damage.
At 9 points of piercing damage. This time you do it properly. You dance forwards, your blade whirling around you, and as it comes up, it finds its target, piercing the wolf's underside, and he gurgles and trembles on the end of your blade and dies.
Very nice.
And then, Leilani, you are up. There is one wolf left. He's wrestling with Igor.
Right, well, Leilani probably is going to run her 30 feet.
Far as she can, keeping pace with her
She's going to
flaming
go to 30
friend.
feet. And she's going to, for her action, cast Produce Flame and throw
Yeah.
it.
Throw it, go ahead.
That's a 17 to hit.
That's a hit, go ahead, roll the damage.
That's a D10. Why did I grab a D10?
I don't think it does it quite yet that much.
5 damage.
5 damage. The flame hits the space in front of the wolf, and he jumps back in fright as it singes his paws, but he's still up. Igor whimpers from the flame and cowers away, but then your flame wolf spirit bounds up
My
behind you.
Spirit's gonna use its attack.
Yeah,
Can I
he
use its
opens his
flame seed?
mouth. He howls, and out comes another orb of flame, and how does it go?
13 to hit.
13 to hit, that's a hit. Go ahead, roll the damage.
Get him.
8 damage.
The wolf
I rolled max
dances
on my
out of,
D6.
the wolf dances back, dodging the brunt of your produced flame, but he is not quick enough for the second orb of flame that hits him right in the side of his head. He has just enough time for his eyes to widen in shock, and then the flames consume him, and he goes down.
Lovely jubbly.
As soon as the last wolf is down, Igor wags his tail and, barking loudly and excitedly, barrels across the farmyard towards Bridget.
Bridget is immediately going to get some of her rations out and give Igor a little treat.
He whimpers like a puppy as he snatches the jerky out of your hands and devours it in a single gulp. And then he nuzzles his head against your hand, wagging his tail like an obedient and loyal companion. The farmhand pokes his head out from behind the boulder ahead. He surveys what was, up until just a second ago, absolute chaos, and he calls out, hey, are they gone?
Well, they haven't left, but they're not here.
The man,
Are you still in one piece?
the man timidly emerges, his His tunic and his pants are spattered with mud and grime. His wiry blonde hair is disheveled all around his face, but he seems to be okay. Shame about the cattle, he says. Save for the last cow, which gives a loud moo from the other side of the yard. So you saved one of them. You saved me. I should be grateful. He stumbles forwards, holding out a dirty hand. My name's Corbin Mulberry. My father's recovering in bed. I'm the man of the house, I guess, but I thought I was done for there. They came out of nowhere, he says. He looks over his shoulder. I was tending to the field. I was gonna get around to feeding the chickens, but then I heard the howls, and the next thing I know, and shakes his head.
Well,
You must be. We received a message from the constable before the wolves, just before they came. She said the adventurers were coming to talk to my father. So I suppose that's you.
Cap nods.
The moment that it was clear, Llewellyn legged it to the nearest door and is in there, and he is doing a search because he does not want to find that they've been chatting while somebody was bleeding out. And so he's doing a very rapid search and eyeballing any and everything that could possibly still be alive and saved.
You ram your shoulder against the door and charge through the farmhouse, and on the back of the farmhouse there's a bedroom, the master's bedroom, and it's here where the rest of the family are hiding, cowering around the bedridden father. The wife and the daughter appear to be unharmed, if a little shaken, but in the corner of the room, clutching a hand to his gut, gasping, his face grey from blood loss, is a farmhand. He looks up at you as you step into the room, but says nothing. One of the women gestures towards him, and she says, "Oh, please, he was bitten by one of the wolves. We tried to dress the wound, but it won't stop bleeding. Please."
Yep. Basically, I wanted you to be aware that I was taking that action. I wasn't trying to derail what you were doing outside. So he is going to use his powers and his abilities and stop people from dying.
Only one of them, thankfully.
Yeah, fair,
The one farmhand. So you quickly get to work on him. Will you be using some lay on hands, or will you be dressing his wound the old-fashioned way?
Both.
You think that's probably necessary as you step up to him, cowering in the corner. His face is already white from blood loss. It looks like he's on the verge of losing consciousness, and the floorboards around him are speckled with blood. His tunic is nearly crimson from all of it. You lay a hand on his shoulder and clasp down hard, and the colour returns to his face. He gasps his thanks, and then his eyes roll into the back of their sockets, and he passes out in a dead faint. By the time you're done dressing his wounds, you hear footsteps behind you, Llewellyn, and you turn around in time to see the son, Corbin, leading the rest of your friends, and one very happy mastiff who is now quite eagerly feasting on a fresh-looking bone that someone's appropriated from the kitchen, trotting behind. And here's my parents, says Corbin. My father, Micheal, and my mother, Emily. And this is our farmhand, Gregory. He was the only one on duty today, and oh, thank the gods. At this, the mother and the sister both look at you, Llewellyn, and clasping their hands together, they say, "Thank the gods, thank you, Sir Knight."
I'm not a god. I'm not a god. I'm just an ordinary fellow. My name's Llewellyn.
Well, Llewellyn, our farmhand here is very much in your debt, and I'm sure that when he comes to, he'll want to thank you in person. The mother rises to her feet, looking particularly harried. She looks around the room, glances out the window, making sure that everyone else is okay. Well, it's a shame we lost most of the cattle, but we should be thankful we still have our lives. Well, you look very exhausted after that. I shall attend to tea, coffee.
2 sugars, please. Tea.
She gestures for her daughter to follow her, and they step out of the room, leaving you with the son and the father. The father pulls himself up to a sitting position in his bed, and one by one, his weathered eyes examine you, taking stock of you, sizing you up. He grunts. Took you long enough. Maybe if you'd come yesterday, you could have saved all my cattle. Oh, I'm grateful that one cow is alive. Don't get me wrong, but, well, it's going to be a hard winter now. He shakes his head, and with me unable to do the work I need to do, he winces in pain. Well, maybe the mulberry farm has seen its last.
Oh, you'll have to pardon our lateness then. Granted, if we'd been here yesterday, we wouldn't have been here today, and who knows what could happen then.
Why are you bedridden, old man?
Did you not hear from Chandra? He says, she sent me out to look for the bandits, sent me out to the west towards the Dwarven Vault, thought maybe they'd found a way inside and they were holing up in it, only I didn't get near the bloody thing, did I? Because I got attacked by wolves, and not just any wolves, big ones, dire wolves. Only managed to get back with my life by the skin of my teeth, and lo and behold, barely had a few days to rest before they must have followed my trail back here, but that's what I don't understand, he says, shaking his head. They're wolves, beasts, brainless animals, and yet it's like they've got it in for me personally. And why wasn't anyone watching? Where were the bloody guards? Where was... At this, you hear a sound from out in the hallway. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Mulberry. And Chadston, the boyish guard, is standing in the doorway. I was meant to be watching. I was only I left me post for only a second. I swear, I had to take a pee. I thought I was only going to be gone for 5 minutes, and boy, growls the scout. Every day you make me question whether all those weeks we spent training you were even worth a damn copper piece. But there's no use crying over spilt milk.
No,
You all got here in time to save my family and my employees, and that's what matters to me. For that, sincerely, I thank you. And now, as you hear a little bell ring in the other room, before my wife gets to work serving you all tea, I must ask, what in blazes are you doing here?
Well, I will heal you tomorrow. I'm afraid I have nothing left. I can't even patch myself. We are here to ask for whatever information you may have on those who we need to hunt down and eradicate.
And the animals.
The bandits.
Dire wolves.
He spits into the dirty bedclothes. The bandits. Well, I can tell you they're definitely not out to the west. I know she sent other scouts, one to the south and one to the east. Last I heard, one of them didn't come back. I suppose you've already dealt with that, have you?
Yes, and that is really unhygienic. You really should try to temper your proclivities in the expectorating sort of way. You'd be astonished how filthy that is. Yes, no, we have found your colleague. Unfortunately, they have not lived. Can you tell us anything more meaningful than, oh, it was bad and they were big? Can you be a little bit more, is there more detail?
Well, he looks around at everyone present. I hear tell that one or more of you know the ways of wild animals. So you answer me this question. Is it normal for dire wolves or wolves of any kind of that matter to attack without warning, broad daylight? Is it normal for them to have a taste for human flesh at all? And is it normal for them to then, days later, follow that man's trail back to his farmhouse and lay waste to all that is there?
Yes, yes, and yes.
Well, yes to the first one. The rest,
Well,
less so.
wolves on the steppes regularly hunt humans. On the steppes, they'll eat anything stupid enough to come into their territory.
Yeah, but I wasn't in their territory, was I? Michael spits again.
What did I just tell you? What did I just finish telling you? Hygiene. Hygiene. Basic foundation of civilization.
Listen, man, he says, and he looks into your eyes. I was not in their territory. Wolves don't range around there. You'll find them to the south, in the woods, in the forest, in the swamp, further beyond that. It's the lizard folk what live there have to deal with wolves. Normally we have no problem with them. What they're doing that far to the west, what they're doing that close to the Dwarven Vault, I'll not understand. And to some of the stories I've heard of that vault, they say the place has been sealed for hundreds of years, at least before the Grendleroot, at least back in the time when the Thule Majocracy were here. But that's not to say somebody can get in, and whatever's inside has clearly driven these animals to distraction. Now, if it were up to me, I'd assemble a force, we would march out there, and we would cull each and every one of these bloodthirsty little monsters, and...
Is this where we all spit? No, anyway, where's the witch lady? There's a woman who does poultices and herbal concoctions. She's supposed to live around here. Can you give us directions?
Thilda, what do you want her for? I don't think she knows anything about wolves. She's all into mushrooms and herbs.
Well, I am leaking rather badly, so, poultice might go down a treat.
They make wraps for adults now for that.
Well, look, you did save my boy, and you did save me best cow, so I suppose Bathilda don't like when strangers come knocking, see? She's very particular about who she'll do business with, but I suppose I could vouch for you. So I'll tell you what.
You all heard, we're not to knock. It's going to be strictly whistling. So can we have the directions?
I'll tell you what. Let me wife serve you some tea and some crumpets, and I'll jot it down on a map along with a little note so she'll know that you're not to be turned away.
Not a bad idea. Right then.
Is there anything else you'd like to know about the wolves?
Did they come from a certain direction, or was there anything that you noticed strange out of the ordinary other than the attack itself?
Well, I'm sure you noticed yourself that they're They're possessed. They've got to be possessed. You can see it in their eyes. I tried everything I could to drive them away. Shot arrows. Threw flasks at them. Even lit fires. Tried to wave a torch in their face, and they kept coming.
Awfully brave. Possessed is probably a good word, she says. And through the neck of her costume, she's grasping. Sorry, over the neck of her costume, she's grasping at where the pendant would be lying.
Is she doing anything with it?
No, she's just grasping at it absentmindedly.
You feel it, the heartbeat once again, but it says nothing. It's gotta be something with the Grendleroot, he says. Lots of spires out that way. Seems to be more of them in the west. They're concentrated more to the west and north of the valley, not to the south and east. And there's all sorts of stories about the Grendleroot and what goes on inside those spires, and well, half of it's obviously hogwash and old wives' tales, but there's got to be some grain of truth. Whatever's happening, it's got the animals worked up into a tizzy. Now, if we can't figure out what's causing it and stop them, then we're gonna need to cull them, and... He shakes his head. I don't fancy that either. Well, my wife's ringing her bell, so you best not keep her waiting. I'll get to work on writing that note for you, and... Corbin, he calls to his son, find my map of the valley and bring it to me. Yes, father, says Corbin. He steps out of the room. And with that, Micheal looks at you and spits once more into the dirty bedclothes, and with a very muddy, worn-looking hand, shoos you away. Go on, get!
Well, as he's shooing, I shrug. I say, if you insist that I hawk a loogie right in his bedclothing with him.
As you turn to leave the room and you pull the door shut, you hear him laugh. Now you're getting it!
Well, you sure will. Who knows what diseases I'm carrying.
Please forgive my husband, says the wife, as she begins to lay cups of tea and plates of crumpet down on the little kitchen table. He's very particular about his habits, and I've tried to break him out of them, but it's the spitting and it's the pipeweed. He will not give up either.
A man with no virtue is a man with no vice is a man with no virtue, and don't trouble yourself, madam. He's quite simply the most interesting person I've met in days.
This isn't much in terms of thanks for what you did just now. But you're welcome to sit back and relax while you plan out your next move. Got some crumpets there. There's some honey in the cupboard, and dear, she signals to her daughter, would you head out and pick some apples off the tree? I'll get the toast going. And with that, you may take a short rest.
Oh, fantastic. I will probably use... Oh, sorry, go on.
As Mrs. Mulberry and her daughter get to work fussing about you, serving crumpets and tea, and seemingly endless amounts of tea. Every time you drain a cup, it's instantly refilled. Plates of toast and honey and fresh apples cut into quarters. If you hadn't just eaten lunch over at Chandra's house, you'd probably wolf it all down very quickly. And yet, right now, you've just been through a particularly grueling fight. And so, sure enough, within a few minutes, all the food is gone, and you all sit back in your chairs, satisfied. Go ahead and take a short rest.
Fantastic. I think I'll go ahead and get back that that spell slot I spent on the Long Strider for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'll use the other one to heal. Let's see. D8 plus 1. Well, they certainly weren't kidding about all these animals, were they?
Oh, it's been horrible, says the daughter. Sure, they haven't attacked the farm before, not until today, but you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone willing to leave town. The things we've heard. You take 2 steps into the wilderness, and if it's not wolves, it's cats. If it's not cats, it's bears. It's almost like they have the town under siege.
And this change was random, just suddenly brought on in the recent time, was it?
Well, I suppose, sure, it must have happened at some point, but we didn't notice a thing until a few weeks ago, when the hunters started reporting that the animals seemed to be more dangerous than usual. They were having to be more careful, having to avoid particular places that they had no fear venturing into before. But it's as if someone pulled a lever, activated a switch, and suddenly all of the animals were completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Bridget, as you eat, you feel Igor sniffing around your feet, looking up at you with that puppy dog look on his face that tells you he's desperately trying to appropriate some of your lunch.
Bridget is just going to share a little bit more of her rations.
And he gobbles them up, yipping, wagging his tail. Oh, he's a lovely breed, says Mrs. Mulberry. So he's your pet then, is he?
Well, he is now. He used to belong to a rather troublesome bandit. Not of his own volition, though.
Well, I'll say, he seems to really care about you. I heard the barking. I looked out the window. I saw him come charging out. That's a well-trained animal you've got there. You'd best take very good care of him.
I always take good care of my pack.
No.
During a short rest, do we get any kind of healing boost from either a song or a chef?
You do, I believe. Leilani, what does your chef feat give during a short rest?
You guys also get a D6 of hit points from my Song of Rest, as Capiera describes and acts out some of the stories that she has relating to the different types of tea shops she visited over the years and performed in relation to the tea they're being served.
And how does the tea you're being served compare?
It's not bad, granted. I mean, she's traveled quite a bit. It was her main purpose under the studies, but she's fairly impressed. Maybe the Grendleroot lends itself to good tea leaf growth. Who knows?
Well, I don't know much about that, says Mrs. Mulberry. I just buy what they have in the market, I'm afraid, but I'm glad you like it. And at this point, Leilani looks through her bag and begins fishing out some of the treats and sandwiches that she cooked, that she made earlier. And you each gain 4 plus 2, 6 hit point. Enough creatures. Let me see. I'm just reading Chef. That will be 1d8 hit points for everyone. So that is 6. Leilani has rolled.
Oh, fantastic.
These are very nice, says the daughter, biting into one of Leilani's biscuits. And Leilani nods in acknowledgement. Well now, says Miss Mulberry, taking the empty plates and cups and putting them away. You've been fed and watered and... Well, I don't mean to impose, but if you're going to do something about these wolves, then, well, I don't see how staying around here is going to be conducive.
Maybe we should hit the pavement, as they say.
Right, agrees Leilani. She stands up, shoulders her bag, and as you're about to step out of the house, Bridget, you notice Corbin, the farmer's son, staring at you, his eyes lingering upon the blade of your sword, and even now, from the rite of storm, electricity surges across its surface. He seems to be utterly transfixed by it. You're a blood hunter, aren't you?
That I am. Fairly fresh to the order, but one nonetheless.
If I become a blood hunter, will I get a sword like that?
If you become a blood hunter, you will need a sword like this.
That was a good line. Well done.
Well, after seeing what happened today, I think that's what I'd like to do with my life. I saw how courageously you fought, and I can't think of any other... He's cut off by his mother, who tut-tuts and says, Now, don't go getting ideas, young man. You don't even know how to use a backhoe properly, let alone a blade. Just the same, she smiles at you, Bridget, and she says, Anyway, it's nice that he's looking up to somebody for a change.
You've struggled with the boy? Cap asks to the side.
Well, you know how it is. Grayhorn Valley, and living in a place like this, either nothing at all happens or way too much happens, and, well, you know how it must be being a young boy with all these notions of heroism and adventure and all of those stories he reads, and then bona fide, real, honest-to-goodness adventurers show up and save him from ferocious wolves.
Well, I think if he's so obsessed with his stories, he should be more interested in the history that this place holds. That's an adventure myself.
Indeed, she's right, she says to her son. There's not just fighting, not just danger in this valley. There's mysteries, there's stories, there's history. You don't need to learn how to wield a blade, my boy. You can nurture your curiosity instead. But the boy waves her off, his eyes still transfixed on Bridget's glowing blade, and he just says, Yes, mother, yes, I know. And then you step out of the farmhouse, out onto the battlefield. The smell of blood still strong in the air, and there are 6 dead wolves lying around.
This family, are they going to be able to process all of the dead cattle and the dead livestock themselves? Or would they need help to try and get it all done?
Well,
they have farmhands, do they not?
They do. Although, luckily, most of them weren't on roster for today. But don't worry yourselves, says Mrs. Mulberry. We'll have a lot of pelts to sell and a lot of more than enough meat for the coming winter.
Llewellyn is going to look at her and say, those pelts, the wolf skins, cure them to the highest standard, and we would like those.
I suppose you have earned a reward, so after they're cured, you're welcome to them. It'll take a few days, of course, but if you're willing to stop by, I'll put them away for you. I'm sure you won't begrudge me or my family the skins or meat from the cattle, though.
Obviously not. Indeed, I will give you a hand going and collecting them if you wish. If you have anybody amongst your people who is a skilled leather worker, the four of us could all do with proper cloaks or hoods.
We do business with the local tanners. They're just down the road there. She points up the trail. And I suppose they do owe us something, and I'm sure they'll be very thrilled to have 6 pelts to process. I'm sure we can handle it. And then she quickly busies herself pulling out a little tape measure, taking your measurements, noting them down on a piece of paper.
Llewellyn is looking in the eyes of his comrades. Are any of them unhappy with the idea, or are all of them thinking, yeah, that's probably not a bad idea?
Yeah, Capier is nodding in agreement. You know, you got a good head on those broad shoulders.
And Bridget, how do you in particular feel about the wolves being processed into cloaks?
Bridget is pretty detached from it, kind of views it as just the natural order of things, the same way as like when prey dies, it gets eaten.
Yeah, she nods her assent. And with that, you're off on the road again. Before you leave, the sun comes rushing out, and he catches up with you just as you're heading down the trail and wordlessly thrusts into Bridget's hand a piece of parchment with a crude representation of the surrounding countryside on it, and a spot marked in a big red X with the word Bethilda scrawled. And then another piece of paper, another scrap of parchment with very, very messy handwriting on it that simply explains that you are friends of the Mulberries. "You'll like Bethilda," he says. "She's a laugh riot, she is. Knows what every single mushroom in the valley does, knows what every single plant does, and knows all the ways you could mix them together." And then he hears his mother calling for him, and he turns and jogs back down the trail, leaving you once more to square your shoulders to the task ahead and step out into the unbroken wilderness of the Grayhorn Valley. And that's where we'll leave this week's session, I think.
Good stuff, guys.
You
Got a bit of information.
Information. That was the main point of this session. You each gain a point of inspiration. And please keep your spell slots and HP as they are. You've had a short rest, and you'll be using the resources you have for the journey out.